So, if you've ever just stared at a completely blank project, practically begging for a spark of inspiration, well, you're absolutely in the right place. Today, we're unpacking a really incredible concept that completely bridges the gap between complex music theory and instant creativity. We're looking at a high-energy progression system that literally takes all the guesswork out of writing incredible music. Let's dive right into Chain Them All.
Let's be totally honest for a second here. Are you still using the exact same four chords every single time you sit down to write a song? You absolutely know the ones I'm talking about. Maybe it's C, G, A minor, and F. Or, maybe it's E, B, C sharp minor, and A. It's that classic pop-punk, worship, rock, and pop loop. And look, there is absolutely zero shame in that. It's a universal struggle. We all fall into that trap, mainly because our fingers just naturally gravitate towards muscle memory. Plus, those chords genuinely sound good together. But man, after the 100th time writing a melody over that exact same kind of repetitive, uninspiring four-chord loop, you start to feel totally stuck in a creative box. There's this massive universe of lush, emotional chords out there, but breaking out of your familiar loop, it just feels like wandering through a dark forest without a map.
Usually, trying to break out of that box leaves you with exactly two choices. The traditional route? Well, that means memorizing complicated theory. We're talking heavy, dusty textbooks and intense musical math. It's just exhausting. But the alternative, and this is what we are focusing on today, is practical progression chaining. Guys, this is the fast track. This is all about taking a super simple, foundational rule of harmony and basically weaponizing it for your own creativity. It's literally the difference between studying the physics of a bicycle for 10 years versus just, jumping on the bike and riding down the street.
So, what exactly is this method? Well, we call it creative hacking. It's using musical pattern engineering to drastically accelerate your songwriting and completely skipping all that heavy academic theory. Instead of suffering through textbook jazz harmony or just running dry drills around the circle of fifths, you're going to find this brilliant backdoor into Western music. We're going to engineer patterns that literally trick the ear into hearing massive emotional movement without you needing a PhD to actually pull it off. You get right to the emotional payoff, which drastically speeds up how fast you can write.
Okay, let's move into our first section, the 1-5 chaining shortcut.
Let's actually walk through this magic chord carousel step by step. It's this beautifully simple math that just links directly right into the next progression. So, step 1, we start in the key of C. The 1 chord is C and the 5 chord is G. So we go from C to G. Simple enough, right? But here is where the creative hack kicks in. For step 2, we immediately pivot. We take that G chord and we treat it as our brand new starting line, our totally new 1 chord. So the 1 to 5 in the key of G is G to D. Boom, we just smoothly changed keys without the listener even realizing it. Now you just keep that momentum going. Step 3, treat D as your new home base. The 1 to 5 in D is D to A. And step 4, pivot again. Treat A as the 1 and its 5 is E. You're basically writing this incredible wave of perfect fifths, mathematically linking one progression right into the next and never, ever letting the energy drop.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the final result. C to G to D to A to E. Think about it. If you just sat down at a keyboard and tried to blindly guess a cool, sophisticated chord progression, it might take you hours or maybe even years to stumble onto a sequence that moves exactly like this. But by simply discovering this cascading pattern, you instantly generate a massive, totally pro-sounding sequence. It moves gracefully across multiple keys, it sounds incredibly intentional, rich, and just deeply satisfying to the ear. And the craziest part? You built the whole thing using just one simple rule.
But why exactly does our brain love this sequence so much?
Well, let's break down the mechanics behind the magic here. First, it completely relies on natural harmonic motion. Like I mentioned, the movement of a fifth is just so ingrained in how we perceive music, it instantly feels right. Second, there's this constant energy buildup. Because you keep pivoting and turning the 5 into a new 1, the music never truly rests, It constantly pushes forward, kind of like a musical road trip with absolutely no stop signs. Third, it provides incredibly smooth modulation. You're effortlessly sliding through different key signatures without jarring the listener at all. And finally, it creates this beautiful, cinematic, and emotional progression flow. It seriously feels like a movie score. It keeps your listeners absolutely hooked because you're giving their ears a moving target that is constantly evolving and unfolding.
And that brings us to a really crucial realization. You now possess one fast, practical system. You don't need a massive, heavy binder full of totally unrelated chord charts anymore. You don't have to suffer through those endless hours of trial and error in the studio, literally banging your head against the wall trying to find the perfect bridge or chorus chords. This single, unified approach just replaces all of that frustration. It's an incredibly reliable tool you can just pull right out of your back pocket whenever that inspiration well runs dry.
So who actually benefits from this? Well, the beautiful thing about progression chaining is its totally universal application. Whether you're a solo songwriter playing an acoustic in your bedroom or an EDM producer programming these massive synthesizer drops, it's for you. Maybe you're a guitarist looking for a fresh riff or a pianist composing a heartfelt ballad. It genuinely works across all genres. Pop, rock, cinematic scores, and worship creators, all of these styles rely heavily on emotional momentum. And hey, even if you are an absolute beginner, using this chaining framework instantly elevates your sound. It literally makes you sound like a seasoned professional who deeply understands complex harmony, when really, you just have a really great roadmap.
Moving on to Section 2. Unlock your next song.
I really want to reiterate the core philosophy of the source material we've been explaining today with this quote. Make this your brand new mantra, a fast, practical system for generating powerful chord progressions by chaining harmonic movements across keys. That is exactly what you have right now. You possess the actual blueprint for endless inspiration. You no longer have to just sit around and wait for the muse to strike you. You can engineer that spark yourself by just laying down that first 1 to 5 link in the chain and letting the math carry you forward into brilliant new musical territory.
Which leaves us with a pretty provocative question to end on. What masterpiece will you build now that you have the blueprints? Seriously, think about it for a second. You're no longer chained to that repetitive 4-chord loop. You have the keys to the castle. I really want you to feel that urge to run straight to your piano or pick up your guitar or fire up your laptop right this very second to test this out. The tools are right there in your hands, the roadmap is clear, and the musical possibilities are, quite literally, infinite.
If you want to dive even deeper into all of this, you really need the full roadmap right at your fingertips. I highly encourage you to close this clip with Cheat Sheet's Shortcut Guide to Chord Progressions on Amazon Kindle. It completely expands on everything we've talked about today, giving you the ultimate companion for your own creative hacking journey. Grab your copy, start chaining those chords together, and go write something absolutely incredible today.